And it says we're live. Alive! Aloha! Como mai. Good afternoon and welcome to this Aloha Lealea Friday here at the Petersburg Pet Center and Annex, Waterways Vet Clinic Annex. I'm not even sure where I am, except I am just a few steps away from the sailing vessel Lealea, moored just nearby in the North Harbor here in Petersburg, Alaska. We're located on Chief John Law Street, directly across from Keto's Cave, liquor store, saloon, and social center. Just kind of catty corner from Mindy's Salty Pantry, where the best food in town can be had. And my first mate, the really talented Laura Wong Rose, was supposed to be here for this live stream, and she's AWOL. What can I say? But she promised faithfully that she would show up. Have some tea here. I've been watching the news while I was waiting to go live here. I was looking at the international and national news that's going on. There's quite a lot of stuff going on. Some disturbing things too. But let me tell you, there are things that are not being reported in the national news, things you won't see on CNN, MSNBC, Fox. What else is there? CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News. Another one I watch sometimes, Sky News in Australia, the BBC occasionally. Who else? Anyway, none of those guys are covering it. So, I mean, what do you say? Because something really big happened here the other day on, what was it, Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday. OBI Seafoods hit 200,000 cases of canned salmon. That is a big deal. And to celebrate, they hoisted a huge American flag above the cannery and let out a stirring blast from the steam whistle. Now, let me tell you, that was exciting. That steam whistle just blowing clouds of steam up there and just whoo, whoo. Oh, it was great. Let me tell you, it was amazing. And that was a major excitement here in Petersburg on Wednesday. Not so exciting, but equally important that the borough is selling off some of its property along the shoreline in Petersburg, some in a subdivision, and some more over on Kupranoff Island that's off-grid. And those sealed bids are out, and some of them have been accepted. Another thing that we've been really looking forward to here in Petersburg, some people have not been looking forward to it, over on Kupranoff Island across the Narrows, is the Cake Access Road, which is finally being completed. There's some important things. It's always good to look back, don't you think? I think it is. Especially there's some interesting stuff that has gone on in the past here in this area. For example, 100 years ago, in the last week of August in 1921, phone service was finally established between Petersburg and Sitka and Juneau. Now, last week was the 100th anniversary of phone service being established between Petersburg and Wrangell, which is 40 miles to the south. Juneau is 128 miles north on the mainland. And Sitka, of course, is Baranof Island, and it is a straight line. I don't know how far it might be, 80 or 90 miles, maybe. I'm not sure. In a straight line, but it's on the other side of Baranof Island from Petersburg. So, and they didn't have phone service until. Oh, I'm sorry, I got that wrong completely. I have not got my new glasses yet. Last week I said I was looking forward to receiving my new eyeglasses. They still haven't come. They may be at the post office, but the post office here has a problem because the post office is short staffed. Apparently everybody quit except the postmaster, and she's there all by herself. And so now the post office, the last couple of days, only open for an hour, 3 to 4, I think. I think it's 3 to 4, maybe 3 to 5, but seriously reduced hours, and the flow of mail and packages has slowed down dramatically. Yeah, first phone service. Yeah, first phone. Oh, First phone service to Juneau and Sitka was 100 years ago, but the first phone service to Wrangell was only 50 years ago. Isn't that interesting? Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, I messed that one all together, and I'm sorry. That's why I'm not a professional newscaster, I guess. 50 years ago, no, 75 years ago, 1946. I just can't get this right, can I? 1946. In August, at this same point in the month, they had received 10.5 inches of rain for the month of August. 10.48 inches of rain in 23 days, they said. Amazing. Anything else happen? No. Okay. More currently here in town, the theater is open. The movie theater is open, which is actually the high school auditorium. And they show movies there on the weekends. And the movie theater is open. This week's movie is Black Widow. Okay. Let's see. We have the ferry schedule, the tide tables, an obituary. School supplies are now available. Back to school supplies. There's an ad. First day of school, 1st through 12th grade is August 31st, and kindergarten is September 1st. Everybody's ready for that. Looking forward to it. Schools are going to be open. I don't know what they did about the mask mandate. I didn't read that. There's some local disputes with the 2020 census that was taken. Oh, let's see, who's here? Tom Sawyer? Oh, Tom Sawyer. Ooh, thank you. Steve Bumstead. Hi, Chuck and Laura. 98 degrees in Southern California. Just barely 55 degrees here. 55 degrees Fahrenheit here in Petersburg. Hasn't broken 60 in a couple of days. Doesn't look like it's going to again this year. So, and Marty from Pensacola, where it's warm. Yeah. And a hurricane coming down. Yeah, we don't get hurricanes up here. We get earthquakes. That's our main natural disaster. We're on the ring of fire, I guess it is, and we get earthquakes and stuff up here. So, and tsunamis, which I suppose that's good enough. I'm glad we don't get hurricanes. We'll pray for you down there. Hoping Laura shows up soon. Okay, so the census takers got it wrong. I also have the paper here from Wrangell, the Wrangell Sentinel here, and they have a similar thing. The census shows that Wrangell got a little smaller, and Petersburg got a little bigger, with just a little over 3,000 people on the island here in Petersburg, and I think it was about 2,500 in Wrangell. But both towns are saying they got the count wrong. So, yeah, Petersburg, Wrangell, I believe Cake also is complaining they got the count wrong. And there are ramifications for that, of course. Other people's money flows in and out based on the count and stuff like that. I don't really want to talk about COVID-19. Here in Petersburg is a completely different situation from other towns. Anyway, I just don't want to talk about it because I'm not terribly concerned about it here. There are now 7 active COVID cases in town since the tourist season started. They all came on the cruise ships. They're not locals. Yeah, there's just not much to talk about it in terms of Petersburg. Wrangell is more concerned. They're more hooked in with they're more dependent on tourism because the big ships do go to Wrangell. They don't come here. Hi, Phil. Phil from the south end of the Salish Sea. I never embraced the Salish Sea. I'm sorry. It's still Puget Sound to me. But then again, I'm up here in Alaska where they still call orcas killer whales. So good at flipping through the paper. Oh, a kayaker was rescued near Keene Island. People continue to come up here and, it's not a theme park. There's wilderness up here. And if you're not careful, you can get into big trouble, even die. Let's see in the news, the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Elm which is a Juniper class seagoing vessel, just passed by. Went up the Narrows, went by, heading out. But it's news because it passed by heading north. Let's see, letters to the editor. There's one guy who is kind of, he thinks we should all be locked in our house, forced to wear masks, forcibly given shots. And, basically that's it. Maybe food dropped off every once in a while. People not vaccinated should simply be shot. And another letter to the editor says exactly the opposite. Yin, yang, left, right, boom. Okay. Like I said, I'm not overly concerned about it myself. The police report, always fascinating police report, because, you hear in the national news and the international news, there's a lot going on. Well, let me tell you, we have ours here too. Actual crime. There was an actual crime this week. I've been reading the police report every time we've done a live stream here in Petersburg, and there's never anything going on. It's kind of fun to read. Somebody lost their wallet, it was returned, that sort of thing. And we got a lot of that here today, but we do have one actual crime in the report. And there was a fellow arrested on charges of domestic violence and assault in the 4th degree near Chief John Lott Street, which is right here where I am now. Chief John Lott Street is only a block long, not even a block. It's, I don't know, maybe 150 feet long, the whole street. So pretty close by. Another notable thing in the news, I'm not going to go down every item this time because, let's face it, it's kind of boring. But other interesting things in the news, there are 5 items this past week concerning bear sightings in town. Now, the way the streets are numbered, it's, there's the waterfront area where we are now, and about from the harbor master's office, it's maybe 200 feet up to the main street. And then from Main Street, the streets are numbered up the hill, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. They go up to 8th up by the ball field, and then there's a subdivision where they pick up again and number up to about 15. Bear sight, we're seeing bears on 1st and 2nd Street, 1 block from the downtown area. And there have actually been bears on Main Street, and last winter there was one down on the floats in the harbor. So, but it's interesting. There was also an item about a deer that got entangled in a batting cage up at the high school athletic complex. And a cat in a tree. There was a cat in a tree. Let's see, a vehicle parked over the fog line on the roadway. The usual stuff. Parking complaint, welfare check. The cat in the tree, that's about it. And the bear sightings, several bear. I don't know if it's, looks like it's more than one bear because it's kind of separated in town, but you don't know. I don't see sow with cubs, so that's usually in the spring. And that's when they're the most dangerous, when you get a female with cubs. So, they just tore down a couple of houses, and they're building a low-income housing project. Low-income housing, we didn't really have any before. There's kind of a trailer park over down by Lumber Street. That's pretty low-income housing. A few rental units in town, not that many, but a few. And so they felt they needed more, and perhaps I didn't follow it. I don't know if it's the town or if it's a private developer. I think it's a private developer who thought that would be a good idea. I think there's 13 2-bedroom units and two 1-bedroom units there. It's directly across the street from the clinic, Petersburg Clinic, which is only 2 blocks up from downtown. So it's really conveniently located. And it also happens to be 2 blocks from the cannery, which would make it convenient for people who work in the cannery. But those are mostly seasonal jobs. Anyway, so there's that. Low-income housing being brought to Petersburg. The town is changing a lot since we got here. not sure what to make of it entirely, but the town is changing, the character's changing, and of course, 2020 just messed everything up for everybody everywhere, I think. What else do we have in here? We have, let's see, first day of school schedule, the school bus schedule. The library has a display of Southeast Alaska State Fair art. There's a new building and code enforcement official taking over. Ooh, he looks serious. I don't think I want to mess with him. There's a burger night fundraiser at Mindy's Salty Pantry over here on Sunday. I think we're going to do that. It's for the Mitkoff Dance Troupe. A worthy cause. The 2021 Rainforest Run, 10K and half marathon run walk is happening on Labor Day. Oh, is that already next week? Ooh. I have to put away my white bucks and my straw hats. I don't have any, but anyway. Humpback feeding time. There's a lot of ads for tours and stuff like that. We have 4 new teachers in the school system here. We're real proud of our schools here in Petersburg. The visiting eye doctor, the optometrist, or ophthalmologist and optometrist, who comes here to Petersburg every other week, but does not participate with the Veterans Administration. So I had to fly to Juneau to see my ophthalmologist. And I haven't been given my referral. I haven't received the referral for cataract surgery yet from the Veterans Administration. They seem to be swamped. I called them a couple of times and they aren't returning calls. Usually they pick up, they deal with it, they've been fine. But the last couple of months, it's been a little rough. That's because Wilson retired. He was my guy up there, former Marine First Sergeant. Yeah. This is here. Oh, the fish factor. Fish factor is really important here in this community and in Southeast Alaska in general, also Bristol Bay. Nutrition, native ways of knowing where your fish come from. Very important. Know where your fish come from. Friends, do not let friends eat farmed fish under any circumstances. So whatever you do, don't eat farmed fish. There's a new partnership of the Bristol Bay Native Corporation, salmon fishermen, and Bambino's Baby Food of Anchorage. And that's important. Got to get those fresh fish into the baby food because it's good for everybody. Public notices, voter qualifications and last day to register. I like it here. The last time I voted in Hawaii, I walked into the polling place and I whipped out my driver's license, went to hand it to the poll worker there, and they just laughed. Or just sign here someplace. Here in Petersburg, walk into the polling place and the poll worker says, "Oh, hi, Chuck. Is Laura coming later? Let me see your voter registration card." Because your driver's license won't cut it. You have to have your voter ID card here in Petersburg in order to vote. Even if the poll worker knows who you are, where you live, who your wife is, where she works, what you drive, what you like to drink, and everything else, you still have to have your voter ID. And personally, I think that's a good idea. What else is going on in the fish factor here? Fish factor. Oh, Long John Silver's is now including fake fish on the menu. That is to say, textured vegetable something or other that they've made to somehow resemble fish. And we here in Southeast Alaska do not consider that a good thing, and really nothing more to say about that. Okay. Oh, Red's. Jobs. The Alaska Marine Highway System is hurting for people. They've canceled sailings throughout the system. It's not impacting us as much here as it is, that is to say, here in Petersburg, the folks at Petersburg. Oops, what's this? I bet this is a text from Laura telling me she ain't coming. What do you think? Nope, still in surgery. Will be for another hour or so. There you go. Those of you who are hoping to see the lovely and talented first mate, Laura Long Rose, my wife. She's in surgery. No, she's not getting surgery. She's assisting the doctor in surgery. She didn't specifically say what they're doing, but she did say that that's what she's in surgery and she can't make it, so she'll be here for another hour. So I'm not going to be here for another hour personally. So you won't have to suffer through that. The thing here about voter qualifications and all that, public notices, notice of intent to begin vegetation management. They're going to spray Roundup, which for some reason I'm not seeing a huge outcry, but that stuff does affect the fisheries. Anything you spray on the roads goes into the water, so I don't know. Birthdays, anniversaries, nothing special. Ads, jobs. Apartments, places to live, float plane service, Alaska seaplanes, couple of competing air transport companies here in Petersburg. You can take float planes or other small craft. The Orca Camp closes out summer. Now that's the Outdoor Recreation Creative Adventure Camp. So summer day camp for the kiddies, which is always a good thing. Did you go to day camp when you were a kid? I did. I went to camp when I was young. Woohoo, first sailing channel that got me hooked. Got your certification. Oh, wow, cool. Just a quick shout out to say mahalo big time. Hey, if we could ruin your life, if we had even a small part in ruining your life, introducing you to sailing and boating, we're proud of that. Yes. Wrangell. I'm looking at the Wrangell paper here also. They're concerned about the ferry service because they got hit hard. They're also concerned about the vaccination rate, and they're very big and very supportive of that. They're pushing it real hard. Vaccinations and stuff like that. We go to Wrangell not every summer. We didn't go this summer, but most summers we at least stop in there. And I like that town. It's a slightly different town than here, but they've kind of done something that I would not approve of, and they've embraced tourism as a major part of their economy. So I have a strong antipathy for the tourist industry. I made no secret about it. I'm not going to rant on it, but I don't think it's a good thing for any community to embrace tourism as a major part of their economy, because it's just not compatible with anything else, and it will definitely change the character of your community. Yeah, they're all over the census here in the Wrangell paper. They didn't like what the count was, and I'm not sure I think it counted them lower than they felt they had people in the town. And it seems like it, because Wrangell is about the same size as Petersburg. And Petersburg, the general consensus is there are more than 3,000 people here. And in Wrangell, it's slightly smaller, 2,500, between 2,500 and 3,000 officially. 5 deaths at the Ketchikan Pioneer Home, all COVID cases, it's reported. I don't want to talk about COVID, but you should know that the Pioneer Home is the old folks' home. That's not, the Pioneer Home is where the old people go to die. Hawaii. Oh, here's the thing about Hawaii in the Wrangell newspaper. Tourism. Hawaii governor asked travelers to hold off visiting for 2 months. I don't know what's going on in Hawaii, man. Actually, I do know what's going on in Hawaii. I have friends that are corresponding with me from there, but we're not talking about it. Agent sees fake vaccination cards sent from China at Anchorage Airport. This is local news now. Local news. Their police report in Wrangell looks a lot like ours, except there's more alcohol-related things. U.S. extends border closure with Canada and Mexico. Don't they close it again? Extended ban on non-essential travel along the borders. Bristol Bay fishermen team up with baby food company. We talked about that already. Opponents continue fight against Maine salmon farm. Don't eat farmed fish. It's not good for you. There's plenty of, wild caught, wild Alaska seafood out there, wild Atlantic food caught out there. You don't need to get that farm stuff, and it's really terrible. I don't know if you ever eaten it, but if you actually done a direct comparison between farmed fish and wild caught fish, you'll never eat farmed fish again. Done with that. Sailing channels on YouTube. Good afternoon from landlocked Kentucky. I saw there was where did I see that? Kentucky makes everything that kills you. I saw this comedy sketch on the Dry Bar on YouTube the other night. I don't know. It was about Kentucky and all the things that can kill you that are made in Kentucky or that are associated with Kentucky. Personally, when I think of Kentucky, I think of bourbon. And I like bourbon. I like it a lot. One or two, couple times a week. You betcha. So anyway, there's Kentucky for you. That's what I know about Kentucky. Sailing channels. When we started doing our YouTube channel, I didn't watch any other sailing channels because there really weren't any. Trying to think if there were any that I was watching to get an idea of what I wanted to do, but no, there weren't. YouTube was pretty new. YouTube was pretty new back then. And we did our first video in 2006. We uploaded our first video, and I think it was in 2006. It's not there anymore. I don't think the earliest one that's still there is probably 2007 when we arrived in I don't remember where I started, if I started uploading in Port Townsend or if I started uploading in Friday Harbor. But in any case, that's when it was. And so we've been uploading videos now for 14 years. There's almost 500, might be over 500 by now. Right around 500 videos. The guy wanted 8K with an outboard and no diesel, no dinghy. Yeah, pass. I've seen Vegas for as little as nothing that were, without an engine. Tom Strawn, if you get a chance, take a look at our series, Willywa Down the Inside Passage. That boat went here in Petersburg for $3,500. And I thought that was a little high for here. I've seen Vegas sold for $500, $2,500, 3,000, 5,000. Yeah, $8,000 is too much if it doesn't have a running engine. I try to keep up, but Laura's not here. So if I get behind on the chat, let me know. Sailing channels that I like now, that I watch now. I watch Susie and Jules, Emerald Steel. Highly recommend Emerald Steel. Austin and Monica, Sea Globe. They're here. They pop in from time to time, and I've had a drink and a cigar with Austin a couple of times. And if you're watching, I've got some cigars for you, Austin. Come by, check it out. Okay. Oops, sorry. I just kicked the table. Border with Mexico is open. Just that's CPB, my friends, in Texas. Okay. Yeah, people are arriving, coming up the inside passage. I talked to a couple of them. The rules seem to have changed over the summertime. Some people said they couldn't stop. Some people said they stopped and anchored but didn't go ashore. And it doesn't seem like it's much fun. Tom and Gary and I had a blast going down the inside passage in 2015, I think. And Yeah, we just had a blast. Took us 6 weeks from Petersburg to Port Townsend, and we just had a great time. Have I been fishing? No, but I've been given a lot of fish. We have friends. We get our fresh fish. I haven't had a chance to go out. Laura's has kept me busier than I would like to be, and she's really busy. Whiskey. Oh, heck yeah, whiskey, man. Um, Bourbon is like health food, you know. By law, bourbon can contain no additives. It can only be the distilled product aged in new oak casks, charred new oak casks, and you can't add any flavoring to it at all. The only thing you can add is water to proof it. Unlike Scotch, Scotch can have flavorings and other things added to it. Any other liquor can, but not bourbon. Bourbon must be pure, and vodka, I think, has to be pure also. Whiskey. Seas and Stars, where in Kentucky? I don't know. Lexington. Ah. We got a side conversation going on here between Big Dave and Seas and Stars. Gypsy Cat, I assume that's directed to us. Do we sleep in the V berth or on the settees? We sleep in the V berth together. We took out one of the settees in Lealea and put in a dinette on the port side, and that works out really well. Okay. Laura says she can't come. How long have we been on here? 30 minutes. Nice TY. I don't want to interrupt you guys' conversation going over here on the side. Let's say that. Hey, where's the Norwegians today? We usually have a couple of Norwegians here on the live stream. I don't see anybody. Anybody in Norway to check in? Say hi? No. Anybody at all in the EU or over on the other side of the Atlantic? No one checking in from New Zealand or Australia today? No? Well, what do you know? All right. You know, Laura I need her help because I can't see really good. It's hard for me to keep track of the comments and stuff on the live stream. But not that many going on here today, so I don't have too much trouble with it. And she also helps me out with things to talk about. So I'm kind of running out of things to talk about here. I've talked about the weather. I've talked about the news. I've talked about other sailing channels. It'll help there, guys. Who else? What other sailing channels? Oh, Sail Before Sunset. Sail Before Sunset. That's another Tom. I don't know how active he's been lately. I haven't seen his videos on YouTube, but I haven't seen his subscriptions coming through. We subscribe to it. I'm sorry. Hello, Cyric. Missed the radio show. Yeah. I would love to do my Aloha Friday radio show on YouTube. However, there's a problem. Copyrights. Now, a lot of that music is old and obscure, and I could probably get away with it, some of it at least, but I can't do it. The radio program on KFSK, I stopped doing that for reasons. I found out I was turning off the radio every time NPR News came on, so I'm not listening to it. And but I really enjoyed doing that radio program. I enjoyed the classic show that I did at night, and I enjoyed the Aloha Friday show I did during the daytime. And I love the music. I listen to it all the time, but I'm not broadcasting anymore. I wish I could do it on YouTube. I can figure out a way to do it on YouTube. I would. That would be great. Have you ever thought about going up to a 35-footer instead of the Albin? Yes, I have. In fact, I started out, I wanted a 40-foot catch. And I got talked into buying the Albin Vega because I could afford it. I had the cash to buy it with. My friend had it. He wanted to sell it. I was convinced. Now, since Laura and I got together, we have discussed it a couple of times, or I have told her, yeah, you want to get a bigger boat? We can get a bigger boat. It's not that we can't afford to get a bigger boat. at various points along the way we could have. But now we're just so connected to Lealea, and it is comfortable now that we've gone through it and everything, even though it's not quite finished yet. So for us, we don't think there's any advantage in going up to a 35 footer. We don't need more room for ourselves or our stuff. We don't have kids. We don't plan on having visitors down there. The one drawback is that we don't host dinner parties like a lot of our friends do, which means we don't get invited to a lot of dinner parties. But otherwise, no. No, there is the biggest advantage to a 35 footer for us would be that it's a little bit more boat speed, faster passages. But otherwise, the Vega is such a well-proven, stout little boat. I don't think there's any advantage in us moving up to a bigger boat, especially considering the cost. Lealea is paid for and has been for almost 30, well, more than 30 years. Yeah, she was paid for a month after I moved aboard. Have we had it out lately? Is it wrapped up refit wise? Lealea is mobile and livable. In other words, we took it to Wrangell last summer, no problem at all. We could go anywhere we want to go with it. The only thing that isn't done is the seats for the settee on the port side haven't been put in yet. And there's some trim work that needs to be put in, and the countertops. So I just I'm not able to make them. Don't have the skills. And I haven't found anybody who can do that for me. We've given up on trying to paint the boat here because it's August and the temperature is not warm enough for the paint to dry. So we're going to take the boat down to Port Townsend and have it painted professionally next summer. That's our plan right now. So we'll just be saving up money all winter to put together enough money to sail the boat into Port Townsend, turn it over to somebody and say, put a nice coat of paint on it, and then sail it back up to Alaska. Down in the comments, talk about your next adventure. The next big one that we're planning is down the Inside Passage again. I went. Laura has not gone. I took Lealea down with Tom and Gary in 2015, and Laura did not go with us. That was just us old geezers. We went down there, and so that's our next big one. We may go down the outside if this travel restrictions haven't changed. We'll just sail down the outside to Port Townsend. That's the next big one. But I'm hoping we'll be able to get out before then. I don't know about this year. It's getting cold already. Talk about your next adventure. Sailing Tarka. Seen that channel. It's in Albin Vega. Yes, and I'm very familiar with Tarka, actually. Been around for a long time. I know a lot of these boats from a long time ago when I got my boat and joined the American Vega Association and got to know some of those people. So yeah. Any Vegas on the market? There are lots. If you're on Facebook, you can go on, there's an Albin Vega Facebook group. And I've seen lots of them available in Europe. I don't see them advertised so much here. I saw one advertised down in Florida, and I'm not really keeping track of the marketplace anymore, but usually you can find a lot of them in the Pacific Northwest and the Puget Sound area, Salish Sea area. I can almost call myself there. But yeah, there are lots of Vegas on the market. Usually for a really nice Vega, you should expect to pay around 20 to 25,000 for a really nice one nowadays. Used to be you could get a really nice one for 15, but inflation has driven the price up. But I would say a decent one easily for 10 to 15,000 and a nice one for 20 to 25. But you can certainly find them for well under $10,000 that are in good enough shape. Manchester, England, or Manchester, New Hampshire? Would you ever go to a powerboat? Yes. Not instead of, but in addition to. Just for practicality matter, here in Southeast Alaska, if you want to get around, But of course, maybe I spoke too soon. Lealea is a 5 knot boat with a small sailing prop uh, and her Yanmar engine. I could put a bigger prop on it, get a 7 knot boat if I put a bigger prop on it. But yeah, sailboats, you don't see a lot of sailboats here except boats that have come up from down south and they're heading back, they're cruising through. We haven't had our sails up in 8 years, actually. I mean, we have traveled around, but in these narrow passages, the wind is always in the wrong direction, or the current's going the wrong way, or something. For some reason or another, you have to tack back and forth against the current or with the current. It's just not worth it. So we motor everywhere we go. We got a 5 knot boat. Most of the fishing boats, the trollers anyway, the trollers and gill netters are 5 knot boats. So get about the same speed as everybody else. But yeah, we would consider a powerboat because easier to live aboard, easier to get around. But the sailboat has the advantage of being able to leave here for New Zealand or Australia if we want to, or Hawaii, or down the outside to Nia Bay or San Francisco without stopping. Couldn't do that with a powerboat. So no, we're not going to get a powerboat instead of Lealea, but we might get a small, like a sea dory or something like that, to run down to Wrangell with. You could run down to Wrangell in a few hours, and you'd have a cuddy cabin and a cooker, for an overnight. If you had an appointment, you could run to Juneau more quickly. That's all. Manchester. So was it? I've heard living in Alaska is very beautiful, also very expensive. A buddy of mine told me it's $12 for a hamburger. Yeah, it depends on where you get the hamburger. I mean, here at the Helsa, $5 I think for a cheeseburger. At Mindy's Salty Pantry over here, sandwiches are going to run you 12, $15. A quart of milk or a gallon of milk, $6.99 last time I looked. I was at the market on Tuesday. I don't buy milk, but I happen to notice a gallon of milk, $6.99. Loaf of bread, anywhere from $3.50 to $7 or $8, depending on what kind of bread you get. So yeah, you see it on sale 2 for $7 for the Oro wheat multigrain or whatever it is. Yeah, it's not cheap. But then again, living in Hawaii was pretty expensive too. Places we have been aboard for length of time, Alaska's not that much more expensive. The places we have lived for a long time, say more than a few weeks. Honolulu, Friday Harbor, Washington, San Francisco Bay, really a lot more expensive than Alaska is. But it's not cheap here. It is not cheap here. Where we save money is on mooring fees, because mooring, the slip fees has always been the most expensive part of our budget. And the last time we were in Hawaii, it was $750 a month, but we got free ice and free coffee and free Wi-Fi. In San Francisco Bay, it was $800 a month. Friday Harbor, I don't remember what it was, but it was expensive. Here in Alaska, the mooring is the slip fee is right around $100, and there's a $70 liveaboard fee, and then a metered electricity, and the whole thing all in runs about $200 a month for electricity, water, mooring, and liveaboard fee and everything. So it's overall, when it comes overall cost of living for us, it's very economical here. I mean, even if we were in the mainland somewhere in California, the mooring fee would change the cost of living and make it more expensive. Have I ever been in Turkey? No, I've never been to Turkey. Heck, I'd like to visit everywhere. I'd love to be able to travel the Middle East in our boat. I would love to cruise that area. I have a deep interest in history. It's a very historic area. The period of history that I'm interested in, Istanbul, um, Constantinople, is a particular interest to me. So yeah, I would love to visit that area. Um, but wherever we visit, wherever we go, or where I want to go, I always visualize traveling by boat in Lealea. So that brings up other challenges, and I don't know how that's going to go in the future. But we'll have to just wait and see. See, where are we? Folks rebuilding Tally Ho moved to Port Townsend and are sharing a barn with some folks who do boat repair and painting. Maybe a crossover. Tally Ho. I'm not familiar with. I'm not familiar with Tally Ho. I have to look them up. Tally Ho. They have a YouTube channel on. Are they on YouTube? If so, I will definitely look them up and make contact. So we've been down to Port Townsend a couple of times and corresponded with people down there. We've been trying to get this boat paint thing done for a few years now, and but some of these service companies, they come and they go. You don't know who the people that we talked to 6-7 years ago aren't there anymore. So yeah, and there's a lot of variables that happen. The thing that I have found is just get there, and then put it together. Samson Boat Company on YouTube. Samson Boat Company on YouTube. Is that any relation to this Samson Ropes? No, probably not. That's a local company in Port Townsend, I take it. Try to plan a route to the Med. Yeah, the Med. If I were to make it over there to the Med now, I have a lot of friends people I have been corresponding with for a long time. Some of them 30 years. I've been corresponding with people in the EU, people who live in that area and who cruise the Med regularly. Would love to meet those people personally. Would love to cross the Atlantic. Excuse me, even if I had to fly for a international friendship regatta, which is a biannual meetup of Vega owners, and would love to. I've wanted to do that for 30 years, and I have not ever been able to. One thing after another. So would love to be able to do that. Hope to see you there. Yeah, would love to. All right. Well, this has gone on for almost 50 minutes. I can't believe it that I did it all by myself for 50 minutes without the help. I'm almost useless without the lovely and talented Laura Longrose, my first mate and wife of nearly 25 years now. We're like joined at the hip, except when we aren't, and she's doing surgery on furries and fluffies down there at the down at the Waterways Vet Clinic. But I have every hope and belief that she will be with us next time when we bring you the Aloha Friday program. The Aloha Lealea Friday. Lealea, Aloha. Lealea. Well, see, Lealea is a verb meaning unreasonably or unjustifiably or overly happy for no good reason. And that's us. Except we think we have lots of reasons to be happy. Waiting you here, yeah. I promise you I will make every effort to bring Lealea to the Med. Just to add another thing to my bucket list. I'm gonna have to start. I had nothing left on it, and I had to start adding things onto the bucket list. I mentioned that a few months ago. It's getting crowded again. I'm gonna have to get started. First things first, though, we have to get Lealea finished. Like I said, she's mobile, she's habitable, she's relatively comfortable, but she ain't pretty. Ugly boat. So we're gonna have to fix that part. The outside is not much to look at right now. The paint's kind of rubbed and dull and flaking and not looking too good. So that's my main concern right at the moment. And so we're gonna resolve that. Hey, come to Alaska, Masut. Masut? Masut? So, I can't see it, damn it. Masut Tunga, yeah, come to Alaska by all means. We have regular air service here in Petersburg. There is let's say, I don't know, 4,000 foot runway here. They fly 747 700s in here. So yeah, no reason why you couldn't. Where's your favorite sailing reason? Right now, it's Alaska. We haven't been any place anywhere near as exciting to cruise as Southeast Alaska. Now, okay, not for everybody. There are no big cities in Alaska at all. The total population of the state, which is almost as big as the entire United States, is 600 and something thousand. It's under 700,000 total population of this state. What's the population of Los Angeles? 13 or 14, 15 million people in Los Angeles, one city. So if what you like is, all that big city stuff, you're not going to find it here at all. What you find here is a lot of wildlife, a lot of trees, a lot of empty space with not many people. So if you're an outdoorsman, if you love nature, if you love the challenges of navigating in a place where there are 25-foot tides, 7-knot currents, and narrow passageways, yeah, Alaska's rocking. Alaska's rocking. We also like the long voyages. A month at sea, there's really nothing quite like spending a month at sea away from all the stress and distractions of all that stuff that's in the news. So I highly recommend it. If you can get away, do get away for a month, and or a week. If you can just get away from, just unplug and get out there, for me anyway, connected to the sea and disconnected from civilization for a while. It's very restorative. Very restorative. Oh, Masood, a fan from years ago. One thing, we tend to retain those people who discovered us while we were, new at this, especially. And I really appreciate the people who've been with us for a long time. Pavel Aviator is one who comes to mind. Masood. I can't think of anybody else right at the moment, but we know you're out there and we appreciate it. Tom Sawyer, especially. Thank you all very much. I'm sincerely hoping that Laura will be with me next time. I'm sure you'll enjoy it a lot more if she is. But through all that, aloha no kako ahui ho. Aloha indeed to all of us. Until we meet again, I'm Chuck Rose, skipper of the little sloop Lealea. See you next time.